Thank you for joining me on this episode of Entrepreneur Encounters. In today's interview, I'm going to interview Morgan Phelps, the owner and founder of Colorful Connections, which is a diversity, equity, and inclusion recruiting and retention firm. One of the first questions I ask Morgan is, why did you decide to start this business? Let's listen to her answer.
Some people want to start their own business and this is the plan from the get go. And that was not my plan. I saw a need, I saw a problem. I was very frustrated. Before Colorful Connections, my experiences in PR and in the communications industry, very homogenous industry, cutthroat, competitive. So at the time, there was a lot of conversation about, oh, what do we do? We need talent. They're not out there. People of color aren't out there. It's like, okay, I'm here. And then also at the time, I was working and living in Chicago and starting a group for women of color in this industry. And for me, I'm like, I've got the people and, you're over here. And it just seemed like a supply and demand problem, a communications gap. You want to hire these people over here, but for some reason, there's a communication challenge at its core. So when I started Colorful Connections, I first created a partnership program, and that was helping leaders in the industry in Chicago, connecting them with underrepresented professionals who either were in the industry or wanted to get into the industry or wanted to transfer into a cousin of a type field, meaning I did corporate comms and now you want to do marketing, right? So how can someone make that transition and making the right connections? That's what I thought. I thought that would be enough. And it was a very successful program, high engagement, but that didn't solve the problem of helping people get jobs and meaningful career opportunities at these companies and doing the work that they want to do. Again, just from a personal frustration and desire and passion, I got frustrated. And so it's like, I'm just going to, help to tackle the problem.
All right. How many times have we seen this? Here's the theme. We've talked to hundreds of different entrepreneurs and small business owners. I saw a problem that no one else was addressing or no one else was addressing adequately. That's a theme we hear at MKE Business Coach quite a bit. And in Morgan's case, she experienced the problem firsthand. So she decided to step in and solve the problem. At first, starting in a small way and then continuing to grow it. In Morgan's case, she just found people who felt like were underrepresented in terms of jobs in a certain industry. And then conversely, she heard the company say, hey, I don't have any candidates that are diverse and meet those criteria. And she's just like, say what? So find a way to bridge that gap. When you find two obvious openings and for whatever reason, they're not matching up, what a great opportunity to come in there and figure out how to solve that problem. You know what else a lot of people really have in common with Morgan's experience? She was frustrated. She mentioned it multiple times, frustrated. For a lot of us, when we're in our zone of genius or when we're seeing the success that we know is out there, we feel really frustrated. We're like, I don't understand how you can't see it. That's the opportunity to be able to step in. We have to help bridge that gap for people so they can see it. But it turns out no one was solving it. And she was able to step in and start finding out how are we going to deliver a solution that really meets the problem and allows people to come and cross this gap. So regular listeners will know what questions come next. I asked Morgan, how was she going to go about testing her idea? As I mentioned, you got to figure out how to cross the gap and get customers who are really interested in this. Let's hear what she says.
So if the will is there, we should be able to create a solution. I started digging into the problem as I would approach it with a client. So I started doing research and understanding the other side of the conversation. I started speaking to talent acquisition directors and hiring managers, hearing from them, what is the problem? What don't I know? What's going on? And from there, I started reworking the approach. So it went from a program into an exploration of how do you create a sustainable solution to this problem? Because again, the supply is here, the demand theoretically is here. So if the demand is genuine, how can we address this? And as I was researching based on feedback that I received and those in the business community as well, I developed the business model that we currently have today for Colorful Connections. So it kind of just evolved into a business. And no matter who I talked to, those who ran their own staffing firms and recruiting firms and HR directors, accountants, COOs, I mean, just a random mix of people. I never received a no. I just received yes, and yes, this is great. Yes, this is needed. And this is what you should consider and incorporate as you move forward. And I just kept doing that. So I'm very coachable. So it was, I don't know what I don't know. And I wasn't trying to start a company. So give me all of the advice and I'll put it together and I'll do this crazy thing of starting a company so that I can help others. And that's kind of how it came about.
Oh man, let me repeat something that Morgan said when she started out that segment. If the will is there, we should be able to create a solution. Amen. I love that part of Morgan's customer discovery experience. She knew that there was a gap, obviously, and that there could be a solution, but she also knew it had to dial in with the will and the wants and the preferences of the customer. But she kept coming back to her North Star. She knew there was a problem and she had the will to fix it. I think that is super awesome in this whole journey. And did you notice that Morgan also had something else that is a common theme with folks who've started up their own business? Persistence. That's right. She keeps coming back and asking over and over. She comes with humility and she knew she didn't know everything. And this is a common theme at MKE Business Coach. We tell people all the time, you need to stop and ask for help. There's always going to be tons of stuff we don't know. And it doesn't help us just to sort of muddle through. So when there are areas where we're really stuck, where we really need to move forward, we're at level A and we want to figure out how to get to B or C. Fine. Ask for help. There's people who want to help. There's a lot of people who love to help and share their experience and the things that they've done to get them where they're at or in their expertise. People love to help us out of our problems, but we do have to ask. It's not readily apparent. It's not written on your forehead. Hey, today I need help with this. When we kick the tires, particularly on a proposed solution, asking people for input, 10 times out of 10, that input that we're going to get is going to make us form a better solution. It doesn't mean you have to accept everything other people say, but that information goes in and starts processing. Is the way we can refine it? Is there a different way to understand it? Sometimes it even crystallizes. All right, so I'm going to go on to ask Morgan about the hurdles that she faces when starting this business. As you know, it is not an easy task to get started. Let's listen.
I gave up a Christian 9 to 5 and fluffy salary and benefits and more harmony with my work life, knowing that paycheck is coming every 2 weeks. When you're working as an entrepreneur, you are creating a brand new brand. So when you're working as an employee, working for someone else, when you come out and you represent and you talk to others, your automatic credibility comes with your employer. So, okay, I believe you because you worked at fill in a blank impressive company. Okay, I got you. Say no more. The assumption and credibility is there. Let's keep the conversation going. As an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting your business, you're starting from scratch from the ground up. So you're having to pull in those early adopters who believe and who'll give you a shot. And you're also having to come out on your own, just with you and yourself and your word until you're able to build up that experience and that portfolio, depending on your service and the function of your business. And that oftentimes can be very difficult. And I think was a little bit more of a surprise than I originally anticipated.
I love this segment. You know, when we're working for another company, whether it's a contractor, whether we're a W-2 employee, however that works, we get to take on the credibility of that company. Okay, we don't have to worry as much about our own reputation because we're coming in the name of the company we're working for. And there's a backing of all that behind us. It's especially true when you're working with larger companies. Believe me, I've worked in them before. I know. But when we start launching on our own, all of a sudden, here's what we discover. I have to earn it all. I have to go through that whole know, like, trust sequence in order to finally get some of that credibility. It's a place that we love to step into at Milwaukee Business Coach because many of our clients are looking to grow their business, but they can't do all the things and all the pieces. We don't have a giant management staff hoping to carry the load. We're not huge. We're not a Fortune 100 company, whatever. Look, it's totally possible. You don't have to have that huge management team in order to be successful and get to the next level. But when you're stuck on a plateau, do not stop. This is one of those times where you can reach out and ask for help. Do look us up, mkebusinesscoach.com, and see what we can do. Because our goal, and part of the reason we even do this podcast, We want everyone to have access to the tools and resources they need in order to be able to succeed. So I'm going to ask Morgan, how do you stay sharp in an industry that is changing a lot, that is changing perceptions and even changing needs inside of organizations? Let's hear what she has to say.
I continue to listen and just talk to others. I talk to other DEI officers, experts, specialists. What are you seeing? What's going on? I listen to clients or contacts. What's happening in your world? What are the challenges? Others who are in the trenches and facilitating workshops and learning experiences to understand pain points that are coming up and just understand holistically, where are we now? What problems are coming up on the horizon for you? Where have you made progress and where have you not?
I really love the way Morgan wades into this. This is a spot that a lot of people really fall down and struggle with. Sometimes the best way to stay sharp in our industry is to go out and talk to people. I know it's sort of shocking. Talk to customers, talk to friendly rivals or friendly competitors, however you want to say it, other people who are in the industry, other people having different experiences. Find out what's going on. Ask them, what are you seeing? Means we're going to have to get out of our offices or our basements or our dining room tables, wherever you're at, and actually go and meet real people in person. Look, networking events, chamber meetings, there's loads of ways we can get out and meet people. You can just do straight prospecting and meeting people. And hey, I'd love to be able to get on the phone, get on a Zoom, get there in person, have coffee, and actually talk to you and learn what's going on. It is the number one best way, whether you're doing customer discovery, whether you're looking to tweet and change your business, whether you're looking to stay on top of constant changes that are going on. It's really, really essential. We don't want to sit in our own thoughts all the time. Now, why is it so important? Because we don't want to become the risk of becoming like the horse and buggy. We don't want to become irrelevant, particularly if you're in an industry that's changing a lot. But I would say it's everywhere. It's even understanding how people talk about our industry, how they understand our industry, how they're framing their own problems, so that when we sell, we're using the right language, the right understanding, and can ask some of the right questions. So this is a key point that's going to come up. How are you going to fund your business? So I talked to Morgan about how she went on to it, and let's listen to her answer.
Part of it started with my personal savings. It started there. I'm still self-funded. So I've grown the company by smartly reinvesting whatever profit we've had to be able to grow the business. I just reinvest my time, my very precious little time and resources to focusing on the business. It's been a journey. The practice and the MO will remain to continue to reinvest smartly what we make.
So for a lot of businesses that are getting started up, I really like the path that Morgan takes. She spent the money that she had and resources that she had. That's called bootstrapping, where we're putting her own money in. And then she also figured out, how do I build a business model that's going to be self-sustaining? I'm going to reinvest the money that the business is making, that I'm getting from paying customers. I'm going to put that back in. That's customer financing. That's getting your customers to be able to pay to keep the business going. Those are two of the best ways, I think, to continue it, for a couple of reasons. It's challenging to have to run out there and go try and get debt right away. A lot of places are going to be like, well, you haven't been in business long enough. Maybe now you're going to go talk to friends and family. Do you believe in my vision? Well, Thanksgiving dinner doesn't taste quite the same when you owe people across the table some money. So I want to encourage you, if you have the opportunity to figure out how to do it, that's really powerful. Now, sometimes people hold off on paying themselves. Now, that strategy is not going to work forever. Most of us didn't go into this to launch a charity. It's called volunteering, when you go in without getting paid forever. And that is a topic for a different show, but it is for a period of time, can be the method that you need if you're going to be able to grow and sustain your business. As any business owner knows, we can't do this alone. Morgan's already talked about it when she talked about how she's going to reach out to other people and make connections in order to find out what's going on to grow. You got to have trusted support. At MKE Business Coach, I'm really delighted that I get to work with my wife and partner, Kate Halfwas, and it's a huge support to be able to turn around when I'm in the weeds trying to figure something out for a client, say, hey, give me some perspective and give me some feedback so that I can provide even better value to the folks we're talking to. And it goes beyond that. Having trusted support is so essential. It's a group of people who help challenge you, who provide new ideas, who support you when you're feeling sort of in the soup. It can be about business. It can be about personal. It can be about professional. It can be a whole variety of items. So I went on to ask Morgan, who's in her trusted support? Let's listen.
I have intentionally surrounded myself with people who are supportive of what I'm doing. So I started realizing that I had naysayers who were in my ear. And I decided to focus on those who were around me and saying, Morgan, how can I help? Who could I put you in touch with? Let's meet about your sales plan, or let's figure out how to work on your pitch and how can I help you? And I just started focusing on those people, the positive energy. And from there, I started developing an advisory board because it was a little tricky to speak with everyone one off. Is it okay? Can we like get together and then I share updates with you all at one time? And then maybe you all can give me advice and help me to connect the dots on everything. And that's how I started developing an advisory board and just doing quarterly check-ins. And even from a personal emotional support, huge value.
This might be one of the most powerful parts of the entire interview. Those naysayers that are constantly sort of chewing you down, not helpful. Did you hear what Morgan said? She intentionally surrounded herself with people who are going to support her in her business. Look, a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome where our own mind is already being a naysayer that we're battling against. We don't need to invite others in who are additionally being naysayers. Folks who think, hey, why don't you go out and get a real job? I hear that from a lot of business owners. It's just saddening. You have the choice not to surround yourself with those people, particularly when you talk about your business, and go find some people that will support you. Look, when the going gets tough, you're going to have people who just don't have positive things to say. That's just true in life. But we can surround ourselves with people who are going to be our cheering squad. We need people who can see past those momentary struggles, focus on the bigger picture, focus on the vision, focus on why we got into this when we forget. Now, I want to be clear. We're not looking for yes people. We're not looking for sycophants who are just going to tell us whatever we want to hear because they think they can ride the coattails and go somewhere. That's not it. But we need to get some valuable people in our corner. How do you do that? Sometimes you tell people about your business. You see how they respond. You see what they say. You can pray about it. Getting a collection of people that are going to support you takes some time. I happen to think that a lot of us got into this position for a purpose, that there was a purpose that we are ultimately fulfilling. And I think that God can help bring some of those supportive pieces with you in order to help. Well, like you, I can't do this on my own. I want to thank Chris Crane for doing all the music for both their intro and outro for this program. And I want to thank Kate Halfwasson, who does all editing to make this episode possible for you to hear. If you like what you hear, I want to encourage you to please like, share, subscribe, and comment. So again, thank you for joining me on this episode of Entrepreneur Encounters. I'm Brent Halfwasson, Milwaukee Small Business Coach, and I want to invite Chris to take us out.